Welcome to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, made possible with support from presenting sponsor Collette. Each month, we'll feature business and community leaders sharing their stories, initiatives, concerns, and passions. Learn practical information regarding community resources and opportunities. Now, the host of Business Voice, Greece Regional Chamber President and CEO, Sarah Lentini.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Lentini, and you're listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, sponsored by Collette, our partner in travel. We've got a great show for you today. I've got three wonderful guests, and without further ado, I'd like to welcome our first guest to the show, Deborah Whitt of the Deborah Whitt Agency. Welcome, Deborah.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm happy to be here.
Terrific. Deborah, you're a woman who's had a long and very successful history here in the Rochester community, specifically in the town of Greece, as a business owner. In fact, you were recently named the 2017 Microenterprise of the Year by the Greece Regional Chamber at its Small Business Awards. We really admire the way in which you have grown your business over a long period of time in the community. But tell us a little bit about the Deborah Whitt Agency. What is it and what do you do?
Well, the Deborah Whitt Agency is an insurance agency, and we provide insurance and financial services. And we're licensed to do business in the state of New York.
Wonderful. And what sorts of insurance do you provide?
Our agency offers various types of insurance. We do homeowners, auto insurance, the two typical ones people think of most.
Right.
But we also are passionate about making sure people protect their assets and have a legacy to leave. So we offer the life insurance, retirement planning. We do commercial insurance, general liability, bonds.
So it sounds like you work with individuals, with businesses.
Yes, with small businesses.
Small businesses. Is that a particular specialty of you guys?
We do.
Yeah.
We enjoy small business insurance opportunities.
Wonderful. So, and there are so many wonderful small businesses. So it's a big, deep pool of potential clients and existing clients for you. So, how long have you been running the? You just had a milestone anniversary, right? How long have you been running the Deborah Whitt Agency?
So for 34 years now, we've been right on Dewey Avenue in Rochester. And we started out small, of course, with myself and one employee back then in the early 80s.
So a while ago, yes.
A while ago. So it's been 34 years here in Rochester.
Wow, that's fantastic. Congratulations. That is a big anniversary. It's a lot of years, right?
Yes, thank you.
And you have been, with the company for even longer, correct?
That's right. I started out with State Farm Insurance right out of college in New Jersey. And back then I assisted them when handling auto claims. So I would assess the value of the claim and pay out the dollars necessary. We paid what we owed, and I would take care of those types of claims initially. And then I began writing estimates on cars, and then even did a little bit of taking care of a service area, and managing that for a while with State Farm. So I did that for 6 years before coming to Rochester to do an agency.
So doing the math, it's 40 years with State Farm.
40 years with State Farm. It's a wonderful company.
That's
great
wonderful.
Place
That's great. And obviously it provided a platform for you to start your own thing. Is that something that a lot of people do? They start out working, were you working for corporate and then you had an opportunity to start your own, company under the State Farm umbrella. I'm not sure I'm using the right words, Deborah. You have to help me.
Yes. Yeah, it is pretty unique, the opportunity that State Farm offers, because it's not technically a franchise. We're independent contractors, so it is not a franchise, but each State Farm office, neighborhood office that you see is owned and operated independent of the company. So we, choose or select our staff. We manage it just like any other small business, with all that comes with, operating a small business. We pay our rent or buy our building or whatever we have to do. But it is a wonderful opportunity, and we take care of our customers.
That's
We're
great.
Neighborhood shops.
So you mentioned that you were originally from New Jersey, right?
Yes.
And I know a few minutes ago, before we even got on air, you were mentioning that you were from was it the Freehold area?
Right. I'm from Central Jersey, a town called Manalapan. It's just right next to Freehold, and it's in Monmouth County.
And you said, just to give people a little context, that it's where Bruce Springsteen is from, correct?
Right, Bruce Springsteen.
Everybody knows Bruce Springsteen.
Yes,
come on.
is from that area.
Yeah, wonderful. So what brought you to Rochester? Because that's quite a distance away. Was it the company that brought you up here?
It is, yes. And so when I was in with State Farm, and that was my first professional job, after several years there, the opportunity opened up where there were agency opportunities here in Rochester and throughout New York State. New Jersey was not an option for me at that time because of regulations there. We weren't in a growth mode there. So in order to utilize my business degree, which I had earned prior to coming on board with State Farm, I decided to take a look at what opportunities were here in New York.
And Rochester stood out at that point.
Rochester did. You know, when I visited Albany, Buffalo, Rochester, out of those three, Rochester appealed to me the most. I mean, it was just a area where I saw a lot of activity happening in the early 80s. Of course, Rochester was booming then. There were banks on just about every corner, everywhere I turned. And also, I noticed there were religious organizations in a lot of street corners. So I enjoyed seeing that part of it. And then, of course, the people in Rochester are just so warm and friendly and welcoming. Right. So I decided I'd take a look at Rochester.
Right. And Rochester's got a wonderful history. You're right. It's got actually, it's an amazing religious history.
Yes.
It's really played an amazing role in terms of the development of some major religions. You know, you wouldn't think this sort of modestly sized city would have so much in its history, but we certainly do. And then also it has a very big, robust cultural kind of life, right? And I know you're into those things, right? You really support the arts, if I remember.
I do, and the Jiva is a gem in Rochester. That's one of my favorite places to go, and we go on a regular basis, and we have for many, many years taken the opportunity to go to the arts in the Jiva, and every once in a while we'll go out to the Rappa. You know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because they have the Rochester, what is that? Rochester, can't quite remember, but anyway, they do the arts as well.
Yes.
And we have Garth Fagan in Rochester, so I take in as much of that as I can, because being from New Jersey, to do these kinds of things costs a lot of money in Jersey. Here it was affordable.
Isn't that an interesting observation? I don't know if people who maybe haven't lived elsewhere realize just how deep and rich the arts and cultural scene is here, and then you're right, how affordable it is as well.
Yes.
So, just to say, one of the things that I know that makes you, particularly special as a business owner is the ways in which you support and contribute to the community. And I know one of those ways is by supporting organizations like Jiva and RAPPA, Rochester Association for Performing Arts, which you were mentioning earlier, along with, of course, the very unique gems that we have here, like Garth Fagan Dance. But those aren't the only ways. I know you're very active with the Grease Rotary, for example. How long have you been a member of the Grease Rotary?
I would guess probably about 15 or more years now. And
is that all?
And with Grease Rotary, it's a wonderful group of people, and we do good around the world. Locally, right in the town of Grease, we work closely with the Grease Central School District to assist the teachers and administrative staff with supporting the students there with early childhood literacy programs.
Oh, wow.
And we work with the Grease Library as well with home schooling kits that anyone who homeschools their child can use. And then I work with the United Way in a leadership program because we need good leaders, and having been out here for so long and doing the things that we try to do, we try to share some of those techniques with young people coming up and want to be leaders, and what leadership is all about, and what some of the responsibilities are, and hoping that they'll get board positions in places that are meaningful to them where they can assist others.
Yeah. Well, and in fact, that's part of the reason that the Greece Chamber, the Small Business Awards Committee was so impressed with you and your background, is certainly the strength of the business and, the many years over which you've built it here in Rochester with a commitment to Rochester. And the other is the many ways in which you're involved supporting the community, because that's really very important to us as we look to recognize business leaders. As you look back over the past 40 years, the 34 of building the business here, in our community, what do you see as the challenges that were, of particular note? And might you have any? I don't know whether the landscape has changed over the last 40 years, and I wonder if you have any advice for young people, especially young women that might be starting out in the business world.
Yes, the biggest challenge for me back then was being a young female. I heard it over and over again. My profession was dominated by males back then. Sure. It is so refreshing to see the number of women that are in this career today. But back then, there weren't very many at all.
Yeah, I wondered about that. Yeah.
So that was a challenge because we weren't thought about. Even though we had started to be there in these positions, it just wasn't given any thought at that time as to how do we serve or recognize or reward or even listen and encourage these women that are now in this profession. So organizations like the Rochester Women's Network was very helpful. I met some fine women that were doing some wonderful things, and that organization is still vibrant to this day, and it was so needed. And when I look at some of the leadership, even in other organizations in Rochester, many of those women that have leadership roles, upper leadership roles, were members or are members of the Rochester Women's Network. It allowed a forum where we can get together and talk about, challenges that were unique to women.
And feel supported. And so it sounds as though that would be, a piece of advice that you'd have for somebody even starting out today is to find those support networks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, often we think we have to bear struggles or difficulties alone, and we'd be probably surprised if we reach out to other people. They don't have to be in the same exact industry, but other people, especially other women in this instance. We might find that there are, there are really some terrific people that are willing to help us out. So that's great to hear. I didn't realize the Rochester Women's Network was actually in existence.
It was.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't know when it started.
Yes, so. It was fairly new around then, but I remember being there in the early years, and getting great support from women that were part of that organization.
Wonderful. Now, are you? I don't remember. I apologize. But how many staff do you have? And are you in a position to take on interns? Do you do any of that sort of thing?
We've had interns over the years, particularly college interns. I welcome it because if they haven't had a professional office experience before, they probably will need that along the way. So we try to give them that opportunity. And for many of my college interns that I've had, that was their first experience in working in a professional office. They've done the amusement parks in high school and the retail or McDonald's or franchise fast food type jobs, but actually working in an office, that usually was their first time.
And it's so pivotal. Yeah.
Yes, and that to put on their resume, that got their foot in the door to other places because we taught them business skills, especially how to use the computer, all those Microsoft Office skills we need to have.
That's right.
They learned a lot of that right in my office, the ones that I've had. And we still take on interns. Yeah. I've had one last summer. My daughter was one, nice. She learned too. And, but, it's been many over the years.
That's terrific. Yeah, I think certainly there are the technical skills that you mentioned, and then there's how to interact with with people
Customer
over
service.
the phone, in person, in a business environment, which can be very, very, very different than in a retail environment, as you mentioned. I think that's terrific that you're doing that. I think business owners that take the time to take on interns, I think, are doing a tremendous service to the community
absolutely.
and the employment arena, especially. So, as you look back over the 40 years in your industry in particular, or in general, do you see changes in the business landscape? Is it getting harder? Is it getting, is it getting easier? Is it about the same, do you think, to run a business?
Oh, there's been so many changes.
Oh, really?
Within our organization and regulatory changes and just the community environmental changes, lots of changes. So I think the changes have been good, as long as we are flexible and willing to adapt to the changes. The change that stands out the most to me is how fast information is shared these days.
What a good point.
Yes. Yep. It's the speed at which we have to react now to things has changed. It used to be people expected, 2 weeks to get something done.
Right.
But now, they expect to be done in 2 minutes.
Yesterday.
So, yes,
literally.
Sure.
Sure.
And things take time. So we have to learn how to do things faster and be more efficient and still give quality service. And, the faster we go, the harder it gets to give that quality service. So, but we strive to do that.
Now, that's a great observation. That probably is the single biggest change that's happened in life, right?
Yes.
Not just in the business world. And indeed, it's staggering because it continues to accelerate. Not to mention the amount of information, the amount of data and information that's coming our way and across all these different platforms.
Oh, absolutely.
It's really quite something. We're seeing probably more change in our lifetimes than maybe a generation or two ago did. I think of that often. So
what a great
point you're making. So going back to what you do, which is, really to work with people, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds as though a lot of what you do is trying to give people a measure of comfort, a measure of peace of mind.
Yes.
And maybe, is there also, are some of the vehicles that you sell ways in which people can, can gain some wealth over time or some resources?
I think so. What we do is every day we're working with customers on matters that are important to them. And, we see them come in with their vehicles that are classic cars or antique type cars. And we talk about ways to protect those. And those are assets. Those are huge assets to some people, and they appreciate. So we want to protect those in a way that is going to be proper for that individual. And when it comes to insurance, no one size fits all. So we handle it from an individual basis. We customize everything for that individual who is in front of us at that moment. Sometimes people call us and say, well, so-and-so has the same car I have, and why is their premium different? Well, it depends. There are so many factors we have to consider to get it right for the person, and that's why there can be differences. So
what is it? Can somebody bring pretty much anything to you, any tangible asset to you to be insured? I mean, what's the range of things that you insure? Yeah,
usually they can get it insured, but we can't always do it in the one place where I'm at. There are usually other companies that can do specialty product type things. For instance, if someone was bottling their own Boss Wing sauce or something like that.
Very specific, yes.
Yeah. So that would be something that might go to a specialty market. That would not be something that we would do at my location, but I can help them get to the right place if we're not able to help them.
But if somebody has a house they need insured, or a boat, or a car.
Right.
Sort of the traditional things?
Oh, absolutely. We can do those types of things. And like I said, some small businesses, but not manufacturing. But the professional office, we can do.
Wonderful.
Yeah, usually we can do that.
And then you mentioned life insurance?
And life insurance.
And there are lots of different types of life insurance,
there's
right?
so many. And again, it depends on the individual, because there's the term insurance, which is for a temporary period of time. Then you have the whole life insurance, which is more permanent, that'll last you well into your 80s and 90s, age 100. For all those centurions out there,
right.
You actually can maybe even collect on that policy while you're alive. You reach age 100. Yes.
And are there life insurance policies that can provide dividends while you're living?
There are some, absolutely. And those dividends are something that you can use while you're alive. So there are some living benefits to the whole life insurance products that we have.
Well, thank goodness there are people that have expertise in that arena. What little I know about it is, there are lots of different products that can be tailored in lots of different ways. So terrific.
Yeah.
So as you look forward, now that you've got 40 years under your belt, right?
Yes.
And the good news is, it sounds like you are committed to Rochester and the Rochester community, because I've heard time and again how much you're you really have embraced this place, and obviously it's home, and you're at this point, I think you're a native Rochesterian. What sorts of things would you like to be involved with? Maybe not even on a professional basis, but on a volunteer basis. Have you thought about that at all? Ways in which you might want to kind of expand on some of the interests and the passions that you have?
Well, there's this anti-poverty initiative that the mayor of Rochester has spoken about, and I've actually attended a meeting where I think Dr. Brock.
It sounds familiar, yes.
And his last name eludes me, but spoke at. And I would like to be a part of that when I get a chance to do more with that. I think that in Rochester, there's no reason why anyone should be homeless here in America, period. America has a lot of wealth. And if we can do more to help the less fortunate. I think we should do more.
Yeah, and Rochester has had the very unhappy distinction for a number of years now of unfortunately being very high in child poverty rates in particular, which I know has been of tremendous concern to people that are focusing on health and human services here in the region, as well as the citizens of the region. So it's that would be a laudable thing to get involved with. It's always distressing to hear about anybody in need, but especially children in need. And unfortunately, as you say, I think we still have way too many of our very youngest citizens who are really struggling. So what a laudable thing. I hope that you come back and keep us posted, and it's been so lovely to visit with you. Thank you again. Now, for those of you who might just be tuning in, this is Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber, and you've been listening to Deborah Whitt of the Deborah Whitt Agency, who is our 2017 Microenterprise of the Year winner. Deborah, will you come back and talk with us again?
I would love to. It's been an honor to visit with you today.
Well, thank you very much. And one last thing before I let you go, if people want to reach out to you, how can they reach you?
We can be reached by phone at 585-663-0960, or you can stop by the office at 3953 Dewey Avenue. And we also have a website, and it's DeborahWhitt.biz. So Deborah spelled DeborahWhitt.biz, B-I-Z.
Love that. .biz. I got to get me a .biz. Deborah Whitt, thank you again so much for being with us here today.
You're welcome, Sarah. It's my pleasure.
Thanks. Stick around. We'll be right back with our next guest, Mike Mordenga of the Victors Gymnastics.
In In 2018, visit exciting U.S. and international destinations with the Greece Regional Chamber in partnership with Collette. They've done all the planning and negotiating for you so you can put the fun back in. 2018 tours include America's Cowboy Country, South Africa, Spain and Portugal, and the Treasures of Tuscany. Visit the Greece Regional Chamber today. Go online or call 585-227-7272 to find out about their upcoming presentations. Take the trip of a lifetime. Again, that's 585-227-7272.
Do you become awestruck when looking through kitchen magazines or watching remodeling shows? You see some of those kitchens and they just look magnificent. If you purchase the same exact cabinets, countertops, and appliances and hire a random remodeling company to install them, your kitchen may look similar to the picture, but most likely it won't have the same feel or gusto. To achieve perfection and awesomeness, Gaelen Style Fine Kitchen and Baths will go the extra mile. Gaelen Style Fine Kitchens and Baths takes all the time and effort to make your kitchen magazine worthy. Galen's Fine Kitchen and Baths. Call 585-978-5154. That's 585-978-5154.
Considering a move to a senior community? Don't know where to start? Call our team of experts at The Village. We'll help you with decisions about independent living, assisted living, memory care, or enhanced. For a limited time, our Unity and Mill Landing campuses are offering our Easy Move Now package with big savings on rent, a free move management package from Grandma's Helpers, and a rent lock. Limitations and restrictions apply. Call 585-723-7442 or visit villageseniorcommunities.org.
If you're looking to market and grow your business, make new business connections, and give back to the community in a meaningful way, consider joining the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. We're the largest suburban chamber in Monroe County, and we offer networking, education, marketing, insurance, and advocacy. You do not need to live or work in Greece to join. Our members come from throughout the region. In short, we're better together, and together, we're moving business forward. Visit greecechamber.org or call 585-227-7272 to join today.
Rochester's home for talk. WYSL 92.1 FM and 1040 AM.
And we're back. I'm Sarah Lentini, President and CEO of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, and you're listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber, sponsored by Collette, our partner in travel. And I'm delighted to welcome our second guest, Mike Mordenga, who is the founding owner of the Victors Gymnastics. Welcome, Mike.
Welcome. Thanks.
You're welcome. Mike is, among other things, on the board of the Greece Regional Chamber, and he's also the longstanding co-chair of the Small Business Awards. But the thing that takes up all of his time is the Victors Gymnastics, which is a company that he started a while back. Mike, tell us about the Victors and how you came about coming to the decision to start a gymnastics organization.
Okay, well, it started in 1999. So we're nearly 20 years now.
Oh wow, that's a big anniversary that's coming up.
Yeah, for you. Yeah, we're looking forward to that. I guess if you go back on the history, I was a gymnast in high school and college at the University of Michigan. And the love of the sport, you'd say, "Wow, that was probably like my dream," and it wasn't. I went to University of Michigan, got a degree in engineering. I worked for Kodak for a number of years. I worked for a smaller company and another smaller company, and kind of worked my way up. I did a lot of travel, worldwide travel, and was technical directors of these companies and things like that. So I thought I had my career all set,
right?
And then one day I ended up working for an even smaller company. Didn't realize that I was getting experience in small business, and there was actually a reason for that. But I ended up with no job and went about a year and a half, 2 years, and was trying to figure out, okay, what's going to be my next step?
Right. What am I going to do with my life? Right.
Yeah. If you think back to what was happening in 97, 98, 99. Kodak was on the way down in terms of numbers. They're reducing that. Xerox, Bausch & everybody was reducing. And I had a daughter who was a senior in high school, and she said, "I'm not relocating."
She told you?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, what's next? I had a longtime friend, head gymnastics coach at Brockport, John Feeney. I saw him in a parking lot at Wegmans in Greece, and he said, well, why don't you just open up a gymnastics gym? We really need one in Greece.
Oh, wow. You never told me that before. Yeah. That's very cool. So see what happens in the parking lot? All kinds of things can happen by accident, right?
Yeah,
at Wegmans.
Yeah.
Very cool. And you took that seriously.
Well, actually, I thought about it for about a minute and how am I going to do that? I'd never run a business before.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you didn't think you had anyway. Yeah.
And and running a gymnastics business was something, I was like, I haven't done this.
Very specific, right? Yeah.
So, and seemed like it was so far away from the time of gymnastics. It was, 1975 was the last year that I had really been involved in gymnastics. I had done some things with helping the Greece Athena cheerleaders with some tumbling stuff, and my daughter was a cheerleader, and they knew that I had done gymnastics, so I was helping them, and I was having kind of fun coaching, volunteering my time, and kind of one thing led to another, and then I sat down and thought about this, and was like, this is kind of crazy. Okay, we've been out of work for a couple years. Right. Really, we're trying to survive.
I bet, yeah.
Trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? And then to start a job or a company that required all this capital and was like, how's that going to happen? So
how did it happen?
Well, I'm not even sure. Sometimes I look back and think, "Whoa, how did that all happen?" But
I'm guessing your wife supported you.
Yeah, she did. She was very instrumental in fact, she's kind of was the original entrepreneur for the company,
really?
for our family, and said, let's throw our head over the fence and do this. And I'm like, being the engineer and the conservative guy, going, I have to have it all figured out before we do.
Right.
And so we put together a business plan, and we went to some banks and ended up getting somebody to believe that we could actually pull this off.
Apparently you did a good job, right?
I don't know. Well, apparently we did, because
somebody gave you money.
Somebody
I'm guessing, right?
actually gave us money to renovate some of the space at Northgate Plaza.
Oh, wow!
Now it's kind of interesting. A little background in the story is in 1990. What was it? It was probably around 1998 when. Yeah, it was 1997 when I found out I don't have a job anymore, and my daughter danced in the studio up at Northgate Plaza, which was over McDonald's, which none of that's there anymore. And it was a rainy day, and my wife and I we dropped her off, and we kind of went walking around the plaza, trying to contemplate, okay, what does this mean? How what are we going to do?
You're still thinking about the business at this point, right?
Well, we weren't even thinking about the business.
No.
this was right fresh out of, I don't have a job now. And I'd worked all these years doing all these things, and so I was trying to figure out, okay, what would that be? And as we walked around Northgate Plaza, we're standing in front of the place that 2 years later we started our business.
Oh, how interesting!
Yeah.
Now, did you remember that? I mean, did you see the place and note it and then go back to it,
no,
or it was
not
just
at all.
serendipitous?
No,
how
it was
weird.
It was one of those things that it's like, like God put you in a place and it's like, like, pay attention, got a plan here, and and you need to kind of do that. So we were standing literally right in front of the place that 2 years later we ended up deciding to start the business. The reason we ended up back in that place is that to put together a gymnastics gym, you're going to imagine high ceilings, big open space, and no columns.
Right.
The back corner where JCPenney's was in the Northgate Plaza was a vacant space, and it was exactly that.
It was exactly what you needed.
Yeah. So
interesting.
So we ended up we had talked to a number of people and all these things that we were doing, and ended up getting back to that place and talked to the Wide Waters Company, who owns still owns actually the space, and one way or another they ended up believing that we were going to pull this off. So it was it was like sometimes that things are meant to be, but
so they all started to fall into place. Yeah, all the pieces.
So we ended up renovating that space, started a new gymnastics facility in Greece, and if I think back on those times, it was just a big space with a couple pieces of equipment. And and it was hundreds of thousands of dollars to get to that, and it didn't look like we had anything, but we had a gym in Greece,
right.
And we had numbers of people just got all excited about the fact that we had a gym in Greece.
So you had gotten good advice.
Yeah.
There really was an interest and a need.
Yeah, well, there was two things that were going on. One, because I was involved in the cheerleading, and Greece Athena at that time was by far the number one team in Greece, in Section 5,
mm-hmm.
and our team was the only team in 1999 that could tumble and do all these things that you see everybody doing now. So we got kind of famous for that. And then when we opened up the gym and we were a gymnastics and cheerleading training center, we had all the teams from Section 5 said, we need to get in and we need to learn how to do what you did for Greece Athena.
Wonderful.
So that was cheerleading was a big part of our, especially the tumbling was a big part of our initial thing. Now, there was a number of people that were at the YMCA where John Feeney was also working and realized that the Y was a program that had gone about as far as it was going to go,
mm-hmm.
And that to be able to progress into higher levels of competition in USA Gymnastics and to have an actual gym, spring floor, and all the things that you would need to have a private club, that they would need to move. And so a number of people came over.
Came over to work for you or work with you?
Came over to become students.
Wow, wonderful.
So, and because it was different, some of them stayed for a little while, some of them left and didn't stay for very long. But we got enough people together where it kind of kept us going. And I just remember, I had spent a lot of time as a person who worked in engineering and technical director and all that, putting together plans and laying out facilities and getting out. And I just remember it was, we started on February 22nd of 1999. And
you really do remember.
Yeah, I do remember it exactly.
Exactly,
it was the day that I realized, after we had spent numerous hours, lots of money and time and effort and contractors and putting together this whole building. And on that day, it was like, we have to run a gym now.
That was just the
prelude.
And
that's the part that I have never done before. So it was like putting together programs and putting together the business aspects of it. That
became the next step.
Was like, whoa.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, a little bit of learning to do.
Yeah. In case you're just tuning in, you're listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, sponsored by Collette, our partner in travel. And you're listening to Mike Mordenga, who is the owner of the Victors Gymnastics, now a burgeoning and very successful business. But he is talking to us about some of the, the risk that he was basically taking by starting the business and in some of the unknown territory that he needed to chart. So tell us a little bit about today, because obviously those were, that was the leap of faith that you needed to take, that I'm guessing a lot of business owners have to take. But now I not only do I see how successful you are, but the young people that come to you are just winning tournaments, and I see announcements all the time. What is the age range that you serve, and and what do you do with the kids?
Okay. The youngest are kind of a parent-child class. We have them generally 2 is a good age, but there actually are parents that'll bring their 1-year-olds in, and some of them are actually pretty talented, even at 1 year old.
Wow!
To be able to do some of the things that you're not looking at Olympic level stuff. You're looking at motion education and large motor skill development and stuff that's really essential for kids,
mm-hmm.
particularly now. And you think about how many kids are sitting on a couch or playing video games or looking at screens. getting up and doing things and feel and touch and move and color and and all that are really important in terms of early childhood development. So we have a whole program that's designed specifically for that kind of stuff with young kids from, well, we can say 1, but I would say probably more like 18 months is the typical start time. And then we run them all the way up through. We have kids who are still in college.
Oh, really?
That are either training for something or just would like to continue to compete in USA Gymnastics Junior Olympic level because they're not competing in college.
Right. So talk to us a little bit about competing, because I don't know much about gymnastics. I'm guessing not everybody listening does. So there's a USA Gymnastics kind of structure that all the competition fits under?
Yeah. USA Gymnastics is the governing body in the United States.
Okay.
They sponsor the Olympic level kids, the elite level, junior elite level, and then there's the junior Olympic level, and that's the level that we compete.
So it's an Olympic level, a junior Olympic level.
It's the precursor for that.
Oh,
wow. We have kids who are in that age range of 7 to up to 10, before they're 11, that participate in the TOPS program. It's a talent opportunity program that USA Gymnastics is looking for 2 things. One, the most talented kids in the United States who may end up going on to be junior elites or even maybe Olympians. And they're also looking at developing clubs and coaches to be able to develop elite athletes. So that's where we take our young, most talented kids and begin to develop them into more competitive kids.
So have you had students that you're working with go on to actually be in the Olympics?
Not the Olympics. We do have, in fact, today,
really?
4 of our kids left with 2 of our coaches to the National Training Center in Houston. We were one of 17 private clubs in the United States to have multiple kids qualify for TOPS Nationals.
Oh, wow.
So we have our first 2 kids went down today. We've got another 2 going down in a couple days. And they're training with famous people like Valery Lukin, who is the head of the USA Gymnastics, and the kids who are going to go on to be elite, to be Olympic athletes.
So what a great experience, right?
Yeah.
What a great platform.
It's pretty neat to go there.
I think so. Yeah.
I've been down there a number of times where you're with the people that you would see that are Olympic level coaches.
Wow.
You're seeing some of the Olympic athletes, particularly prior athletes who are now helping coach there. It's for anybody who was involved in gymnastics, it was pretty special to be able to see a place like that every Olympian from years and years and years has gone through the training camp.
Wow. Now, having said all that, and I know that a lot of your kids have been winning trophies because I see photos on social media. But you don't have to have Olympic aspirations to come and train at the gym, do you?
Oh, not at all. A majority of our students are recreational students. Great. They're there to have fun, to get some exercise. Sometimes it's mom kicking them off the couch and saying, you need to go do something other than play video games. Right. And that would be a majority of our business. Yep. It's only those who are that have that as an aspiration that go on to be competitive gymnasts.
Yeah, you have the ability to help them, but it's not to the exclusion of the a whole lot of kids that are really just looking to have fun. But I've heard you talk in the past about how one part of this is gymnastics training, but another part is is really perhaps more about helping kids to develop in positive ways, maybe a broader kind of a mission.
Absolutely. My kind of way of looking at this is all we do is teach them cartwheels and gymnastics. We've missed a huge opportunity. When I think back to the coaches that I had and the training that I got, I don't do gymnastics anymore. Teach gymnastics, but the idea of learning to be able to work through difficult challenges, to be able to set goals, to be able to stretch and set beyond what you think is possible, the ability to be able to persevere through all those things that we say when we're doing like the small business of the year awards, and we talk about the people who have won that award.
Yourself included, which I should have mentioned, by the way. The Victors Gymnastics is a past award recipient, yes.
Yeah, to be able to win an award like that, you always hear people like, it was difficult, we went through difficult times, but we were able to overcome those difficult times by persevering through that and then finding a way to succeed. That's what we teach kids. And the longer they are with us, the more they get that. Yep. Most of our better athletes are also A students. Most of them go on. I've written numerous letters to National Honor Society and other things where because these kids have been nominated, and then they need somebody to kind of support them with a recommendation letter, and they usually come and ask me to do that, which I feel honored to be able to do. They're usually amazing kids, but when we get a chance to kind of work with that, we can turn all that energy into some pretty positive stuff. And like me, being able to use some of those skills has helped me in being successful in running the Victors Gymnastics. Will help them to do the things that they have a passion to do later on in life, whether it be gymnastics or not.
Which is about as meaningful as meaningful a goal and as meaningful an impact as I can imagine.
Yeah, well, that makes me smile.
yeah, because it's terrific. Mike, if people want to get in touch with the Victors Gymnastics, how can they reach you?
Numbers of different ways. Our website is www.thevictorsgym.com. We are on all the social media platforms, YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. And if you just are kind of old-fashioned and you want to give us a call, it's 585-663-4810.
And one of those ways will get you to Mike. And if all else fails, you can reach out to the Grease Chamber at greasechamber.org. Mike Mordenga, the Victors Gymnastics. Remember that name. And Mike, it's been a great pleasure to talk with you a little bit. Thank you for being with us today.
Well, thanks for having me, Sarah.
You're welcome. Don't go anywhere. Coming up next is our next guest, Russ Herman, who is the founding owner of PetSaver, Healthy Pet Superstore.
In 2018, visit exciting U.S. and international destinations with the Grease Regional Chamber in partnership with Collette. They've done all the planning and negotiating for you so you can put the fun back in. 2018 tours include America's Cowboy Country, South Africa, Spain and Portugal, and the Treasures of Tuscany. Visit the Grease Regional Chamber today. Go online or call 585-227-7272 to find out about their upcoming presentations. Take the trip of a lifetime. Again, that's 585-227-7272.
Need help with health insurance? The Grease Regional Chamber provides assistance with health insurance for businesses, nonprofits, families, and individuals throughout our region. We pride ourselves on the personalized service that we provide for our clients. Let us help you find health insurance plans that fit your needs and navigate the paperwork. Grease Chamber Benefit Partners, located at 2402 Westridge Road in Rochester, New York, offers a broad range of medical insurance plans for businesses, nonprofits, individuals, and families throughout the greater Rochester Finger Lakes region, working with insurance companies including Excel Dallas Blue Cross Blue Shield, Univera, and MVP Healthcare. We can also help you access insurance plans through the New York State of Health, the official health plan marketplace. Again, you do not need to live or work in Greece to utilize our brokerage services. We serve the greater Rochester Finger Lakes region of New York State. Visit greecechamber.org to sign up for one of our free health insurance information sessions or schedule an appointment with one of our licensed brokers. Call 585-227-7272. 585-227-7272.
5-Star Urgent Care is here to help save your holiday season by treating non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses, getting your family back to what matters. From colds and flus to upset stomachs from holiday dinners, 5-Star is open on all major holidays to provide your family quick, convenient care when you need it most. Located on Dewey Avenue near Big Lots Plaza, walk in today to be seen and treated quickly with no appointment necessary and most insurance accepted. Visit 5staruc.com to learn more.
Tune in anywhere. Live streaming to PCs and mobile devices at WYSL1040.com.
Welcome back. I'm Sarah Lentini, President and CEO of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, and you're listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber, sponsored by Collette, our partner in travel. And I'm delighted to welcome our next guest. He happens to be the board chair of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, but more importantly, he is a businessman with a long-standing set of stores in the greater Rochester community and growing. Welcome, Russ Herman of PetSaver, Healthy Pet Superstore. Welcome, Russ.
Thank you.
I'm delighted that you're here. Now, Russ, you own PetSaver Healthy Pet Superstore, but I don't know when you started it. When did you start the business?
Well, we actually started in 1994. I was in another dog-related business and found that dog nutrition was woefully lacking for most people in the area, and I thought it might be a nice addition to our business, and it got a little crazy.
Wonderful. So was the previous dog business one that you owned, or was somebody else's business?
Well, it was a dealership that we had for invisible fencing. So we had several dog customers, and once I learned about pet food and what's good and what's bad about it, I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity to open up a small store and provide the service to our community.
Yeah, and I think it's an area that's getting more and more attention because I think the majority of folks who own pets are really increasingly concerned about nutrition, and then there are a lot of issues like pet allergies that can be addressed through food. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Dogs and cats are meat eaters. They're carnivores, and many of the pet food companies decided that, we can get away with feeding them corn and wheat and soy, and that's okay for some pets, but for a lot of pets, it's just not very digestible, and it causes lots of problems.
So how did you learn about, because that's a lot of learning, right? I mean, if you kind of had to go from 0 to 60 to become an expert, where did you go to learn about food and nutrition?
Well, I had a friend in the business, so to speak, and he informed me on the big differences, and once I started looking at the labels on the bags, it was pretty obvious that what was advertised on the front of the bag wasn't really what was in there. When you started reading the ingredients and understanding ingredient panels, it truly just wasn't as advertised. So if you can take 1 minute with a customer and do a little explanation of what they're feeding now and maybe what they should be feeding, it's a pretty simple business.
And what was your first store? Was it Greece?
It was in Greece. It was the huge total of 1,000 square feet. And since there, we have expanded.
Yeah. You have 4 stores now? Is that?
We do. We originally opened up the Greece store in 1994, and we moved a couple times. We're now in a 8,000 square foot store in Stone Ridge Plaza in Greece. And 6 years ago, we opened up our Brighton store. In Webster, we opened up last year. And we just opened up our Victors store in August, and they're all going great guns.
That's wonderful. And the Victors store has a special, I was going to bring this up, right? Because I absolutely adore this. What do you have in the Victors store that's sort of new and unique?
Well, it's a dog treat bakery. We partnered with a woman named Danny Lawson out of Penfield, who was originally an artisan human food baker, and she decided to go out on her own and create unbelievable dog treats.
They really are. I mean, the whole thing is beautiful, just to say, because at Russ's ribbon cutting, the first thing you saw when you walked in was this doggy bakery that looks just like a human bakery, and all the treats look like human. Are they like human grade quality?
It's all human grade ingredient.
It's
I mean,
amazing.
I've eaten them, and she makes these wonderful muffins that don't have sugar in them, but you know, people just enjoying themselves.
For us too, exactly.
Yeah, although we're not certified to be serving human food,
right.
But it's great for pets.
And even the presentation was spectacular. It looks like a just the loveliest bakery, and it's got one of those chalkboards with all the beautiful artwork, and you really made it special. It's quite lovely. So congratulations. That's quite an arc. And of course, 2 of those 4 stores you opened in the last couple of years. So that's great news. At least in your arena, it sounds as though business is booming, and as I said, obviously people care a little bit what they're giving to their pets. So what's on the docket for the future? Is there anything that you can share with our listeners that you might be thinking about, either in terms of types of products or things that you want to research, or is there even another store in the offing?
Well, the business is changing. There's just like every other retail business, they're all being affected by online sales. Mm-hmm. We've seen that pressure, and we just have to create an experience for our customers, whether it's a human experience of our associates, making sure our customers are being taken care of, to having products, services, and food that people want. Mm-hmm. So we're involved in all the trade organizations and go to all the trade shows, and we're finding the cutting edge of it. Mm-hmm. And it's just amazing to see the products that are out there. Yeah. People love their pets and continue to treat them more and more like they're human children. And
I know I do.
Yeah, sure. And we talk to them, we let them sleep on our beds, and we want to feed them high quality stuff, and people will oftentimes feed them stuff better than what they eat themselves.
Right. And you do, speaking of events, you do lots of events too, right? I mean, we do. Speaking of experience.
Yeah. We hold a lot of adoption events in our stores. Our Greece store, Brighton store, and Webster store all have adoption centers in there that are handled by Lollipop Farm. So we usually have cats available for adoption, rabbits, guinea pigs. We have a lot of groups that come in and do dog adoptions on weekends and such. We're very, very involved in the rescue community to make sure that the pets in our area are taken care of. And
in fact, you've donated a lot of both in kind and in cash donations, haven't you, to Lollipop Farm? That one in particular I was aware of, right?
We were very lucky to be able to set up a program a couple of years ago now where we provide all of the food fed at Lollipop Farm and Rochester Animal Services free of charge.
Wow. All of the food.
Virtually all of it. They do have a few little things, maybe some special prescription diets or something, but through the help of our customers, as most stores have, like a loyalty program, when somebody buys stuff from us, they can save their loyalty points for a PetSaver gift card, or they can donate those points to our shelter feeding program. So our shelter feeding program is feeding, over 8,000 pets a year through these local shelters, and
that's pretty amazing.
It's through the help of our distributor and our manufacturer from Pet Food and Triumph Pet Foods. We're able to provide, like I say, virtually all the food. So
that's
if
fantastic.
You adopted an animal from one of those organizations, it's been fed through our rescue or our shelter feeding program.
That's wonderful. That's fantastic. And then in terms of other things that you do, just because I'm thinking about the little experience I've had, right? You've got bathing facilities, it seems to me, on at least one of your, right?
Well,
sites?
all the stores have self-washes. So you can come into our store and bring your dog, and for $9.99, we provide the shampoo, the towels, the dryer. We clean up after you, rather than doing this at your house, people love to come in. And what we found is that it's a great social experience for people, because there's other dog owners in there. They're laughing and telling stories. And I have friends who are in the business throughout the country, and they have individual stalls where people can't talk to each other. I said, that's a big mistake. Next time you do this, make sure it's all open, because people come in to talk to each other. It's a lot of fun.
It's funny. I was all prepared for you to say that it was great for socializing the animals, right? The pets, but you were talking about the humans.
Yeah. Well, side benefit is for the animals, of course. But
exactly.
But like I say, people are always smiling in there. So.
Oh, nice. And you have vaccination clinics as well?
Yep, in our Grease store every other Saturday. You can go to our website, PetSaverSuperstore.com, and see when that's available.
And that's relatively inexpensive?
Very inexpensive.
Yep.
We're not competing with the regular vets. It's important for you to go and have a complete checkup through your veterinarian. This is strictly for vaccinations. And for some people who might have a tough time covering the cost of the entire exam and everything, our vet comes in and does a basic exam just to make sure the pet's healthy enough to receive the vaccination, and does it at a discount rate. So it's very helpful for people who may have multiple animals or just are a little apprehensive about paying the full fees.
Yeah, whether you have limited means or you're just nobody minds saving a little bit of money, because typically people don't have pet insurance, and it can be very expensive to take care of our furry loved ones. So how did you get into this business? I know you said that you started in the invisible fence business. Was that what you had said? But I'm guessing that maybe you did something before this, or did you do that right out of college?
Well, no, I had a couple different jobs. I was in the insurance business and the leasing business, and through a friend I found out that the local invisible fence dealer at the time was looking for a representative, and I picked up a job there, and within a year we had our own dealership, and then we were actually working with a pet food distributor for some cross-marketing with invisible fence, and I told him that my Rottweiler at the time had terrible skin and coat, and he suggested that I look at the nutrition, and that was the exact problem, because once I switched over to a better quality food, and I was feeding him what I thought was a great food, nationally advertised big brand.
Right.
But once I switched him over, within 30 days, he had his coat back. And
wow.
That's why it was an aha moment for me.
Right. It was really a personal experience that drove you to the...
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, that's actually the best, isn't it?
You bet.
Yeah. So if you're just joining us, I'm Sarah Lentini, and you're listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, sponsored by Collette, our partner in travel. And we're talking with Russ Herman, who is the founding owner of PetSaver Healthy Pet Superstore, now in 4 different locations across Monroe County. Actually, one of them is just outside Monroe County in the town of Victor, the latest store. So, Russ, I know that you have, been in business now for some time, right? If you started the first store in 1994, it is looking at things with a bit of a long view. What do you think is changing in the business landscape, if anything? Is there any advice that you'd give to a young business owner today? Were there some things that you experienced in the form of either assistance or adversity that you think helped shape you, that might be useful to somebody who's contemplating opening a business in the region?
Well, there's a lot to say, more than the time I have today in regard to that. I never really contemplated being an entrepreneur. Thought my life was going to go a little bit differently, but once I got involved in business, I found it was my calling. I liked working for myself. I don't think I necessarily cared working for somebody else. And my advice to people who are starting out is number one, you have to be passionate about what you're involved with. You have to like what you do. Retail is something that's a little bit different, because you have to constantly be dealing with people. And if you're not a people person, it's going to be kind of difficult for you to succeed in retail. Doesn't make you a bad person. You just need to find something else to do. But when it comes to being in business for yourself, you have to sell. You have to be involved with different things out in the community. You have to find a way of doing things different, finding your niche. I made all the mistakes you could possibly make in business, trying to be everything to everyone. You cannot do that. You can't compete with Walmart. You can't compete with some of the big chains. So we found a niche for the people who really want to feed the best and have the best for their pets. For me to carry products that are inferior or very, very inexpensive just does not make sense. But in general, once you get into business, you just are constantly trying to improve. One of our core values is constant and never-ending improvement. We preach that with our people. And you set yourself up with some goals, always trying to be in that top 20%. When you start out in business, you're in the bottom, but you look at what the top 20% are doing, and ultimately you will probably get there. Once you're in that 20%, then you look at the top 20% of what that group's doing, and hopefully you'll get into there. And if you keep going on that program, you'll be in the top 1%. And it's we're still a long ways away from that, but you better be constantly making changes. And we've seen a lot of changes through the years, good, bad, or indifferent. You have to roll with them. You can't, or you'll get run over by them.
Great advice, and important advice, not just in the business world. I think it's great advice for development, human development as well as business development, and is, really underscores why you've been so successful. And in fact, for our listeners, Russ and PetSaver Healthy Pet Superstore actually past recipients of the Greece Regional Chamber's Small Business of the Year, and which has, by the way, been supported since its very beginning by Genesee Regional Bank. And Russ is now, along with Mike Mordenga, from whom you heard earlier, a longstanding co-chair of the Small Business Awards Committee. We try to put people who've actually experienced winning the award, but also obviously have great experience running businesses on that committee. So we are really delighted that you're here today. Thank you so much for sharing your advice, Russ. And before we let you go, how does somebody reach out to you if they want to reach you, perhaps directly because they've got questions about products? Is there one central way to reach you? Is it a web address?
Well, PetSaverSuperstore.com has information how to get a hold of all our stores, find our stores. If you're looking to get a hold of me, my email would be russell.herman at 2 S's and 2 L's and HERMAN at PetSaverSuperstore.com. I get questions all the time from customers. I love hearing from them, good, bad, or indifferent. And if you're just looking, and if you're just looking for basic business advice, I can give bad advice all day long. So.
With that, thank you so much, Russ Herman, for joining us here on Business Voice. So that just about wraps it up for today. I'm Sarah Lentini, and you've been listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, sponsored by Collette, our partner in travel. We're delighted that you've been here today, and I just want to leave you with a couple of events that are coming up at the Greece Chamber that you might want to check out. We always have tons of events, but these are the two that are probably most prominent in the next couple of months. One is that we're kicking off business development training, strategic business development training with Mike Kachechi of Accelerated Performance, and it's a 7-week program that kicks off on January 11th. And the other is that we are gearing up for our annual Health and Home Expo, which this year is going to be held at the YMCA on Long Pond Road in Greece, and is taking place on Saturday, February 24th from 9 a.m. to noon. There'll be a great array of exhibitors that represent both the home and the health industries most broadly defined, and admission is free to the general public. As always, you can check out everything that we have to offer at our website, which is greecechamber.org, or you can email us at info@greecechamber.org or call us at 585-227-7272. We hope that you reach out. We'd love to hear from you, and we hope that you tune in again to the next edition of Business Voice.
You've been listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce sponsored by Collette. The Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce serves businesses, nonprofits, and individuals throughout the region, focusing on promoting economic and community development and serving as the voice for business. The Chamber offers networking, education, advocacy, community events, and business services. It serves as an important platform for business leaders and citizens to come together in support of common goals.